Alright, welcome back to another Play and Explain. Playing 3 tables on my new laptop at a different place, so haven't been able to record for a while. So let's hope this video goes well. Alright. Just sat down as well. Let's see if we can get another table for you guys, but I don't think I will just wait. I'm playing some ACR, and then this is obviously a rig battle at 2K, which I hope you guys want to see. Alright, my 6max might be a little rusty, but I figured I have to post, so gonna be posting and hopefully I can improve the quality as goes on. Feels like every time I'm playing, I'm just not recording, which is obviously my fault. Alright, here I don't know if we squeeze more often. Obviously versus Ryan and another reg on Ontario. It would be a 3-bet fold, or it's just a call. I think from early positions, it's actually a pretty good 3-bet fold, so we're gonna go with the squeeze here. I don't know if I'm supposed to go bigger. My slider on ACR right now is like kind of bugged, so I'm gonna call. And gonna stick with the game plan here and fold. But I think here, like the you can't 3-bet something too weak when you're versus these positions. So, and it's not like the worst amount of EV loss to get to a 3-bet and get folded compared to playing versus the button. I think here we could do a number of things. You could raise, obviously, with bottom pair. I don't love the option of folding. Call is obviously fine. I don't even know if it's a call pre-flop actually. We'll go with the call and evaluate. Probably not good. But I feel like we had the equity to call once. Goes with the triple barrel. He has to have like no bluffs, I think, for us to consider folding there. I think 6-5's too weak to 3-bet here, so yeah, prefer to just do the high cards. It's when you stop doing the high offsuit hands that you start 3-betting the connectors again. 89, gonna 3-bet this. And figure out the issue with the slider on my ACR, on my laptop. I don't know what the issue's been, but yeah. Okay. Probably gonna take me a while to think of the decision, so I'm purposely playing 3 tables right now. Easy fold here. Jack 5 I do not believe is an open. I think Jack 7's the bottom. Queen 5 I think is the bottom for the Queen X. And I think this is a regular table, so no, pretty much a reg battling with 3 tables. Alright. Now here's a decision. I think we'll play 1/3. A lot of people would range at this board. I think you do need to build checks. But I think all suited King Jack will bet. I think it's not a spot where I think like your King X that's suited benefits more from building a bigger pot. Because when you check, you're just naturally always going to play a smaller pot. So when you're playing B33 or check, so hands that can make flushes and can play better in the raising line compared to like King Jack off, you know. So there's some lines where you want to check a flush draw more often because we could go 1/3 again. Like obviously that's a heuristic. I don't know what that is. And there's obviously overbet. I don't think this hand would go in the overbet. I think we'll just 1/3 again. It could be incorrect, but it's fine. Depends on what our checking range on the flop is obviously going to look like. Because if we're betting a lot of under pairs to the king, then this makes a lot of sense. But if we're not betting actually much pairs above or below, then obviously it's hard to build a betting range around something you're not going to have very often. But I do think he is going to have to float a lot of ace highs on this board and can get value with a lot of different types of hands. And he donks. And honestly, I'm just going to call here simply for the reason we don't have the king 6 blocker. So he actually does have one combo that beats us. So it would be awkward. And the question is how much value do we generate from leading compared to how much we give up when we get shoved on and obviously call. And I think, I don't know about in theory, but I think obviously if he can't have king 6 and it's just pocket 3s, then I think you're going to gain more from raising. but yeah, in practice, not in theory. So obviously we have the king of spades, which is obviously maybe some of it incentive from my opponent as well. Having the king of spades, knowing that we can't have king six, it has to be basically quad threes for us to beat him. So I'm assuming he would have jammed if we raised. Obviously we were gonna call. So yeah, I think it's weird because he basically has to be doing that with the three, and then kind of unfortunate river though. We probably were gonna make the bag on the river there, the overbet. I think 7-6 is too weak, so we're not gonna open that. I know you guys are on me about my pre-flop, which obviously I am aware. I've made a lot of pre-flop mistakes in the last video. It's hard when recording and playing too many different formats and stuff like this. Get used to opening so many different types of hands. Yeah, if a table's open, all right, let's do this. We can get 4 tables for you guys. This is a boat, and he checked it 3 times. I don't know about the river check here. I don't think you need a hand that strong. I would rather check like sets and stuff, like 4s, I think, on the river. Because 8 is obviously a reopen. You're blocking all the reopens, and you're not blocking the checkbacks, like ace highs and stuff like this. Obviously, you ended up having a potential bluffing hand, but I mean, if you know your opponent's just like pure trapping stuff like this, then it's also going to be raising the spot aggressively, so then you just don't need to open as much. But I don't know, like a spot like this is like, and people don't like to get theoretical. Like if he thinks that he's going to win some leveling war here, then that's fine. I mean, if he has a read, also his opponent has a very weak range, like Jack 10, which he was right about. I mean, obviously checking is going to make more as well. So not here to like criticize other people and how they play. Oh, okay, ace 9 here, just on a 2, just gonna call. Obviously, I think the ace of hearts here will cause us to lead more often. The 9 is pretty meh, but and here just gonna be 3-betting to 10 bigs pure, obviously. I think the 9's okay. The benefits of the 9 compared to the jack, like ace jack, obviously is another hand, is we fold out. He should be folding some ace jack here, pure, like not pure, but sometimes. Getting raised is kind of odd here. We do have a hand to like airball 3-bet. We rolled a 90. I mean, obviously, maybe it's just ace 7, ace 8, but ace 3, ace deuce. Do it for the content. I probably said enough low equity hands that I don't need to do this one, but this is pretty much the airball, like 8, 7, ace 8. Like what I'm thinking here is it might be in somewhat of his folding range to fold out 8x and 3x here, and so maybe having the 9 of hearts is a pretty good unblocker to his potential folding range. And here we're just super polar because our 3-betting range is so strong that I think we're just gonna check here. I mean, probably call, and then on a spade donk, not on the other cards check. Because we could just rep ace-x flush draw really well in this line. I don't think it makes sense to block because I don't know how much of ace-x is. I also just think we get bluffed more often if we block, so I'll just check. Probably win. Yeah. We were trying to give him the money, but we failed. Good run out, obviously. I do think that line was kind of punty, but yeah. Is what it is. You get lucky. The block is probably the right play in theory, though, because I don't think our hand makes more money checking and check calling, because when your opponent's reopening range is very polar. Like he's not gonna reopen for a small size. Hands that don't do well versus a polar range, like ace nine doesn't really block any of like the super nutted hands. Obviously you're going to make more money just trying to get value from the pairs that called, right? And I check here because yeah, maybe ace it just no spade, and it could be a range bet, I guess. When I did play versus this guy, he was pretty sticky. Right. I do like this hand as a bet now. 77. I think it's okay properties. Bet. Depends how much ace of diamonds he's going to be checking back. I guess it is overbet when it does bets. Overbet. 77. I'd probably mix this. Just having some 10x that you check. Obviously, a good amount of 10x is going to be betting. So, and we get our 9. I'll just check and keep in bluffs. This guy's pretty aggressive, so I'm just going to check call. He checked back a flush draw, nice hand, but you shouldn't call queen 10 mainly. We do rep some flush draws, but I don't think we're gonna make more money repping a flush draw here. He had the straight. So. Shove was interesting because our line looks pretty punty. It's pretty easy for us to still have bluffs on that card, so we could get called pretty late. And it's also like hard for us to rep thin value. Right. I was debating raising small, but it's not. Heads up. Heads up, this would be the second best ace-x you would have, so obviously. If you were going to raise some ace, and you don't have much pairs, so if you're going to raise some ace-x for value, this would be a consideration. But, yeah. Okay. 6 deuce, I think this is too weak. You guys can tell me in the comments if I'm bad. Just out of position, I mean, 6 deuce is a very good hand. He sized up to half, which I find interesting. I wonder if it's the actual size he plays on this board, or it's we could raise this sometimes easily. But here, when the board is more connected on these pair boards, the small raise becomes less appealing. You actually do have bluffs, so you don't need to size down, and you can actually just you also have easier calls because you can call gut shots and stuff, so you don't need to raise as much. Like obviously, the more call, that was a misclick. You guys saw that was a misclick, but whatever. That's what it is. Basically, the less calls you have and the less bluffs you have, so like a drier board like king deuce or 10-10-3 or like 7-7-2s, you because you're going to be overfolding the flop, it doesn't make sense to just start floating queen nine offsuit as much. So because you're going to be overfolding the flop, you raise more to get some more EV back into your opponent's range bet. But obviously, when you have more hands that can potentially call, we're just going to polarize around a 6. Not to mention we have more bluffs versus the 6. There's a lot of reasons. So, yeah. Reg battling every table. And he goes to 40, and obviously there could be some exploitative reason to call here, but I think theoretically there's no merit. So I'm just gonna play standard, I have no reason. I'm pretty sure this is a call. We rolled a 25, but maybe on a 25 it's not, but I'm gonna call. Alright, here, hand's only calling, it's never whatever. You guys know the deal. We don't want to get shoved on. And I'm a little lost to do here in the flop. My opponent does go with the range bet, so I imagine that's gonna make raising more profitable. Yeah, he's gonna have hands. I mean, we do get to keep in those worse ace-x hands, so there might be more merit in just calling. I'm gonna call. Change my mind. Obviously, as a whole strategy, we're gonna be raising more, so your best jack X is just gonna be that value portion that will help balance out that range. But exploitatively, I think the hands he's gonna be overbetting might contain the blockers I have. So let's go B75 and call off, but he's probably folding. Got a 3-handed bomb pot. I mean, we got a pretty bad hand. And I know, B. Martian's gonna be watching this. Shout outs to him. Ontario's finest. You know he hates me for no reason. Or maybe he doesn't. He's gonna have to update me. The queens. Sorry if this video is a little boring. I'm gonna try to be. I already told. If you guys are in my Discord, yeah, I try to update you guys a little bit more on what's going on and when to expect a video. But yeah. I don't mind the idea of actually bluffing this hand, but it just seems DM without like spades and stuff. We're gonna go to 22 here and hope he just shoves something that isn't pocket aces. We win here. They all give up. How thin would you guys go here if you were Gonzo in a bomb pot? Okay, I'm actually curious in the comments. For you guys who care to comment, because I will reply. How thin would you guys bet here? Yeah, what sides would you pick? Like, would you guys reopen a queen here? I mean, or like a weak queen? Would you guys reopen a jack here? Because I know some people just might not expect 2 checks, so I'm curious. Would you be tighter? Would you think that people could trap you? I don't know. Because he obviously should get called light because he could have infinite bluffs. He would make so much money in the spot if he could just doom bluff it. But then for that reason, we should in theory check more. But in practice, a lot of times in multi-way spots, people don't really balance like this. So let's see. So yeah, he bluffed ace high and he called the jack. Good thing I didn't bluff my ace high. I think I would have got more respect than him though. If I bluffed, I think I would have won. This hand's interesting. Doesn't love calling a bet though, and also like it's not like the most ideal lead spot. I think you want to be a little more cautious. Your opponent has a lot of easy calls. Definitely gonna be floating this though. Okay, so queen high is gonna be majority of my opponent's checkbacks on the queen and king high. Like ace high is actually good enough to bet for value here because you have the improved odds, can call a raise easy, a lot of stuff. Also, I'm not gonna mention I do play leading range, so when I check, I am weaker. But I do think he's gonna be checking a lot of these hands like queen jack. I mean, obviously you could argue we have good blockers to that, but I don't think this hand can check raise, so I'd rather just bet it myself. 87. And for that reason, basically, I'm just going to check my weak queen. Just going to bet around equity 6-5. 6 and 5x, and probably be kind of fuller. All right, well, we bet to call this, though. It has a 7. And this is just, we're just going to take our showdown. We block his folding range here. Seven X, obviously not being a 6 or 5 is going to check back more, like hands like 8-7 and 9-7 that just never have any equity. More likely to just check twice and then bluff river. Yeah. I don't expect to win, but the fact that yeah, the threat that we could win this hand sometimes forces him to bluff other hands, if that makes sense. If we're always betting this, then he doesn't actually have to always bet lower because our calling range on the river is too polar. Because obviously, if I could just check down queen high, then he really just can't afford to check 8-9. But let's say I always bluff my queen high and I bluff my 10 high. Well, then he's looking at 9-8 and he's like, oh, is he gonna fold an ace? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm bluffing everything. Yeah. So if you're gonna give up, it makes sense for me to give up something that maybe could win. Probably shouldn't win in theory if you plugged it in, but right here, I don't mind big bet. So I don't mind check, obviously. I feel like if you bet the middle pair with the diamond, you actually want to bet a higher card. The benefits come from the pushing the equity. Yeah, I am. How long are you gonna be? Just gonna check twice here. Sorry, I'm talking to my. How long have I been recording for? 20 minutes. All right. It's an okay hand to check raise here on the river. It's also like okay hand to call. You could just like randomly bluff air, but he just has the nuts, so good thing we didn't check raise. Probably do want a queen or a jack just to protect against that. It's weird that my thing is just bugging, so I guess I gotta 3-bet this. Pretty much a pure 3-bet. I do believe it calls most of the time. He does 4-bet me. Alright, here. It's pretty passive board. The advantage to the queen of clubs is we're gonna block a lot of the flush draws that we want to block. Hands like king queen of clubs and ace queen of ace queen of clubs and queen jack of clubs. Whereas the ace high we could actually get called by some hands we dominate. On an 83, I do think this hand probably I don't think it's a pure check, like ace queen in general. I think this combo is pretty good to bet. I think having no diamond, we're gonna benefit more from betting than checking, because even if he was to fold a hand like ace five of diamonds, if we checked, he wouldn't be able to fold that, and that's still a win for us because that hand has more equity than ace five of spades. If that makes sense. If I had ace of diamonds, queen of clubs, then he would have ace five of spades here, which I don't care about. But here I benefit some money from, like here he won't have ace five, and we could shove here. I think it's a fine shove. So we're gonna do that. Maybe the queen of clubs isn't the greatest. I'm gonna shove them. My logic is, if he does bluff catch with ace high, we have the benefit of having the ace of spades. And the queen of clubs is just blocking the hands that we do not want him to have. So yeah, maybe we prefer queen of diamonds, but I don't know if I bet queen of diamonds on the flop. So I'm just gonna take some ace queen there because we need to. And since we're building a checking range and everything, we can't just be pure shoving all our flush draws, nor is it profitable to do that with all of them. So I'm gonna go with the overbet here. So yeah, I'll be taking a look at a lot of these hands, trying to post better videos for you guys, so you can see where I made mistakes, because I am a little rusty, but I'm giving you guys my thought process. I believe I'm small blind button, so this should be fine. Versus the 4, we're gonna fold here, and I like to play a small bet multi-way with a lot of these hands. Puts pressure on this guy with like pocket sixes here, because he has to worry about this guy calling or raising, or even a hand like 6-7 of hearts, which maybe if he was this guy would just float. How often does he hit the? We have obviously a pretty good hand bet here. I'll just play 1/3 range. I think it's fine. On a 95, I think it's fine. I know it's versus this. It might not be versus this. I know you need a lot of these middling hands here because you can't just use the suited ones because you'd have two little combos. Because you need to call Jack 9 sometimes here, I believe. So. And I'm just gonna block river. He should have worse Jack X. We shouldn't care here. We block Queen Jack and we block King Jack. We also block Jack 9 and King 9. So we have pretty good blockers here. Not the greatest card in the deck, I'm gonna be real. I'm just gonna fold here, I'll believe him. The issue with this is I don't think people will have enough folds here. Because they're supposed to actually start folding straight draws, and I just think people don't want to. And I'll check river and lose. The folding range here should be the under pairs. But he might turn into a bluff here. This guy's pretty aggressive. He jams here, it's kinda... Huh. Probably fold though. I think I punted at some point during this hand. Maybe we just want a spade. I was thinking king of diamonds. But the issue is, like, I made a mistake because I was thinking king of diamonds, we're going to unblock the backdoor flush draws. But the issue is all the king X kind of connects to this board. It either has a straight draw or anything, or something. I'm just going to stay disciplined and not keep punting, even though it's like probably an okay catcher. If he has bluffs, this hand does make sense to be a good bluff catcher. Since we pretty much don't block any bluffs anymore, and we block actually a good amount of value. We block obviously hands like Jack 9, King 9, and King 10. And as well as pocket jacks. So, and he probably is more likely to have pocket jacks than he is to have pocket queens. He's also more likely to have Jack 9. Oh, we do not block Jack 9. So I just misread my hand on the turn. It's probably not the worst thing ever. So here I check called, he checks, board pairs check back. This hand is a pretty good jam. You know what? I think I prefer this as a check jam, but the issue is the 10 of spades we don't block shit, so I'll just check. Maybe it's nines or something. Okay, it's queens. This one as well. I got a little lost. Was focused on some other stuff. The reason why I didn't mind jam is I think the spot's pretty overfolded, and when you get here without a diamond, I mean it's okay to be a little aggressive. So, and I do think his betting range on the flop now that checks turn is pretty polarized. In the sense that like the 10 doesn't doing much for us. I don't expect him to actually really have nines. So why would he bet on the flop? So yeah. It's probably an okay hand too. I was gonna say, man, if you 4-bet again, the back-to-back 4-bet bluff, I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing it from him with the 2K. So far I'm probably like up down. I'm up and down on ACR probably. Yeah. How long I've been recording for? 26 minutes. So I'll record a little longer. Look at all the hands for you guys. I'll probably put some graphics on the screen as I go through them. Not playing the best, so not enough teaching going on. I don't think I've made really any mistakes that I'm too upset with. So I'm not gonna say I'm playing bad. But I just know I'm not at my peak right now. But I'm gonna do the review and hopefully put some stuff on the screen for you guys. I hope the quality of the video is also as good as well. Hope we can get a stack with aces. That'd be dope. A lot of my money here has just been from being dealt kings and queens. All right, here we come. I think 20 is a good number. On a 12 though, do we fold? Just shove, man. Just gotta ask. They usually listen. Damn, he calls. Oh, this is where we gotta be careful because we don't have king queen and he has it. I'm actually like literally no clue what to do in the spot. Not gonna lie. Having the 10 of spades is obviously better for us betting. Just putting more money in the pot in general. Having better runouts since it doesn't really affect his calling range. It's not like he's folding an aces and either way. So when you have the 10 of spades, you're gonna block more equity. Pretty sure it's pure folds. I don't know. Just gonna tank and bet a third. And hopefully he just shoves jacks or tens. Hopefully he didn't flop a straight versus me. I definitely think you should build checking ranges here, but like I'm not gonna do all that right now. I'm expecting like a very high continue rate. Good check. Good bet 20. We'll check. I don't want to risk him folding like jack 10. That's like the only hand we're gonna gain a lot of money from right now. Don't know how much king X he really reps in this line. Okay, so now we river the second nuts, third nuts. Let's go B20 and then hope. I don't expect him to turn anything into a bluff here, but go B20 here, rep ace king. I don't know. And I'm expecting him to jam sets for value. Actually, maybe on second thought we should just jam and try to get called. I could actually see him knitting it up Jackson 10s here. And a flush, but I think if I jam, he's just gonna call. I think I'm leveling myself here. Okay. All right. Here the action is 3-bet. I bet. I'm blinking. King of clubs here. Pretty meh. Ace of spades. Also pretty meh. I guess I'll check. Just need to be careful. There's no river where I feel great. Not to mention the absolute hand strength. That's pretty mid. So here, just all in is pretty tempting. Not gonna lie. Does he check? I don't think he checks a straight. Does he check a set? I'm gonna go with the jam here. I think he's like really likely to have king jack king 10, and I think that's gonna make the most money. I think if we're gonna call the jam anyway if we bet smaller. So, and I don't think he's gonna bluff. So I think all those reasons, like we don't make more money in a bet call line. So just jam. Like you do the argument like you're never getting called by worse, da da da. I still think he's not never calling those types of hands. Okay, I'm not gonna button him. Don't worry. We'll play 2 hands. All right, and he wins when he just sniffs on the pot. This actually is a pretty good hand to bet. I'll go with the half pot size here. Actually, no. We'll bet. I think the 5 is pretty alright. Could potentially block folds. And this is like literally the only bluff we'll have here. He snap calls because this guy's just the biggest reg. It's going to be like bottom pair. Oh, he just checked a straight and then turned it. Well played. Took my hands fine. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, I figured I would review this one. Said I'd review a couple for you guys. I already set up the sim, and I took a look at it. Obviously, we do be leading this a good amount. The main leads you don't want to have are, it looks like hearts with the 9 of spade, but it's mainly double bad suit. Seems to be the main lead. The main non-lead here, because I guess you get raised too often. Obviously, opponent is going to be raising a good amount. Not as much as maybe you guys would think, though. I'm still flatting a lot of these overpairs because you do get 3-bet so often due to how polarizing the leading ranges become. Because the whole reason we lead is because we actually have a good amount of these stronger hands, and obviously we just have trash. So yeah. Obviously, mainly building it, like I said, around the 8. Obviously, 8 of spades less appealing. 7 doesn't really matter. It's a pretty good card. And yeah, ace 9 still in there a little, but not much. I was pretty aware of that at the time, but didn't lose much EV. And obviously, the benefit with ace 9, like I said, is bowling out these hands for when this card does inevitably come on the turn. Though I didn't capitalize as much as I should have. Obviously, after looking at the hand, which we'll talk about in a sec here. Because I was obviously a little too passive. Because the raise on ACR I find to be aggressive, and yeah, didn't want to face a tough decision. But in reality, I think I just clearly misplayed the spot. So we check turn, and obviously our checking range is so polarizing. Then no reason for him to size up now. You can easily attack it with a big size. I'm sure if I were to run this, it would be overfolding to MDF versus the B33. So yeah. It doesn't give me the other cards here, though. We'll have them on the river because the sim is like it's low frequency, so we just don't have it very often. But yeah, and it's clearly, if I were to show you here, due to the strategies playing on the turn, clearly we could get value here on the river, and I do think this is a spot where people aren't going to reopen as a bluff. So yeah. Block sizing, though, I was correct that block sizing isn't a thing, but we should have been capitalizing on missing the value that we're going to be able to generate. When he checks back here, he usually doesn't have a very strong hand, and we're basically trying to get him to, when we're bluffing, we're trying to get him to fold these over pairs, which he obviously still has to call at a pretty good frequency to not be overfolding. So the main part of his range, we didn't exploit, which I think in practice, you're going to get called by this stuff a good amount of the time. So definitely made a mistake. Not to mention, ace 7 is also like, these are going to be the ace X he has pure. So that's why it's good to have ace 9. Is when an ace comes, you basically have the best possible ace that isn't a 2-pair. So anyway, on to the next hand. But yeah, it's important to be really thinking about the combos your opponent has, because obviously in theory it looks like a not that strong of an ace, but it basically is the same thing as ace king here, because unless he's just floating ace king. I mean, obviously ace king suited, and the slightly stronger suited ace X, but even then, it's not supposed to really be raising on the flop. But anyway, on to the next hand. Right, on to another hand. I'm gonna do one more after this, I think. The ace queen hand. This hand, yeah, it's not a range bet. You need to build a checking range. You have too many hands like this, and obviously, like I said, the middling ace high hands. Not to mention, it just kind of connects with your opponents. I think I have this strategy full, which needs to be normalized. Yeah. So my hand isn't a bet. Like I said, it's built around the spades. Ace 10 is just not a very good hand here, so you're just kind of donating by putting money into the pot here. You're kind of blocking folds as well when you have a bad ace here. Obviously we have the ace of diamonds, which is all right, but it doesn't benefit from it as much as the other hands are going to. The reason why, yeah, ace queen's odd, but I guess you just prefer the fold equity. So when you see a heuristic like this, it's not really a value bet. You wouldn't really want the ace of diamonds if your hand was value betting, so it's still kind of benefiting from the equity denial, but Yeah, still pretty bad EQR. Yeah, anyway, it goes check check. Obviously, opponent, we have a polarized checking range here, so opponent's going to be attacking with a smaller size, as makes sense. He's not going to polarize himself into a polarized range because that's usually not the highest EV. And here, obviously, wait, this is like bugging because it was like it was betting way more often when I was doing this, but let's just see if I can get it back. It still wasn't betting 2-2, but yeah. Obviously, we're playing pretty safe on the turn here because we're basically betting our polarized checking range and trap 10-9, but ace 10 is one of those hands that does bet. When we do 125, though, I'll be honest, it doesn't really like the size, but obviously I was exploiting what I thought to be my opponent's range being a little weaker than he should have. For the sake of like actually knowing what to do in this spot, we'll run it with b75 because I already made the mistake, so we might as well know how to play it better in the future. Either way, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be doing the same thing practically. Yeah, you see your opponent's supposed to have these stronger jack X, like king jack very often. I don't know if you're really getting that in theory. So we call, and nice face on the river, not to mention checked flush draws and stuff. And yeah, we just play a one block sizing here, just around there 10x that we bet. And yeah, it's pretty much just 10x is a good part of our. Let's look at the filters here. If you look at our, where is it here? Straights, 32% of our hands are straights here, and they're betting very often. So yeah, flush is just pure checking. We're just checking the flushes to protect. Because basically when you bet a flush, you're basically betting to get value from a 10. And I don't think your opponent's supposed to check back a 10 here. Maybe he is in theory because, yeah, but our range is basically built around a lot of these overpair pairs having to be indifferent here. So he's betting a size that gets an overpair to fold. But yeah. Anyway, on to the last hand. All right, on to the last hand. I realize there's a lot of hands in this video that we should have probably reviewed, but I can only do so many because, yeah, but if you guys have a comment about maybe the 4-bet pot stuff, I'll update you as well because I'm going to have to look at stuff like that. And there was another hand with king 9, which I did make the mistake of betting on the turn, or king jack, sorry, on queen 9-9. Okay, but here, yeah, I was right on the size playing b75 or check, obviously mainly built around fast playing these over pairs and jack X. It's interesting to see that ace 10 checks a lot here. Just plays like some all in with the BFD blocker, which I find interesting. It's probably just slightly more equity. But, yeah. Maybe it's because unblock ace 9 and your opponent's supposed to call that off. Interesting. But anyway, yeah, we do be betting with the queen of clubs. Queen of clubs is actually less than the ace of clubs, so I was kind of wrong about this. But we do bet our hand at a frequency, and then when he calls, he's obviously supposed to be shoving a lot here with us already investing so much in the pot. A lot of equity now going on with the jack 10 and 10-9 hands as well as pocket 8s. Yeah, 10-8, 9-8. Just because these hands benefit so much from getting folds. They obviously have okay amount of equity to fast play. And then on the turn, we're going to be very aggressive here. We do not jam. Let's see how much EV I lost. You do want the ace of diamonds. And we actually lost the big blind, but in practice, we obviously got the win. The reason we want the ace of diamonds here is simply due to your opponent's not really calling it too much, except for ace 10 of diamonds and ace 8 of diamonds. But ace 8 is probably not the worst, but it's also probably not the best because you're one card away from a chop. Like a lot of runs chop, so it probably has enough equity to make it not as profitable for you. But yeah, not loving the queen of clubs because as you can see, well, I guess he's supposed to be fast playing a lot of his queen of clubs, right? Yeah, I guess you benefit from getting called off from hands like king queen. But not the worst play ever. I mean, I was trying to be in the right spot. I don't know how much the ace of diamonds. The ace of diamonds obviously doesn't really matter because you're not getting called off by, like for example, not having the ace of clubs will get you called off by hands like this. But obviously he's never gonna have that when you b75 the flop, like I was explaining earlier. But yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a question, let me know.